Some of you watching this right now are doing more emotional work as parents than you ever saw growing up. You apologize. You reflect. You read. You listen. You try to understand your child's feelings. Think about all of that. Heck, you're even trying to regulate yourself. You're trying not to yell. You try to repair when you mess up. Heck, you're out here trying to break cycles, right? You're even trying to be present. Some of you guys are even trying to be emotionally safe. And yet, even with all of that damn effort, you still feel like you are failing as a parent. That is one of the most painful parts of modern parenting, because deep down, you know you are trying. But trying this hard and still feeling like you are not enough, though, shit, that can break your spirit. Dear parent, let's talk about why doing more can still feel like failing. Okay? Let me say it clearly to start us off. If you are doing more than what you received as a child and still feel like you are failing, that does not mean you are failing. It just means your standard for parenting has changed. That's important, because many of us grew up in homes where the parenting standards was keep the child alive, make sure they behave, make sure they respect adults, make sure they don't embarrass the family, make sure they do what they are told. But now, 2026, you are trying to parent with emotional awareness. You see, you are not just asking, did my child obey? You're going further. You are asking, did my child feel safe? Did I hurt their feelings? Shit, did I repair? Oh my God, did I listen to them? Am I repeating what hurt me growing up? Am I helping them develop emotionally? That is a much heavier standard, right? And when that standard changes, the pressure changes too. You have to admit that. There are parents watching this right now who know exactly what I'm talking about. You have a hard moment with your child. Maybe they talk back. Maybe they having a meltdown. Maybe they're ignoring you. Maybe you feel yourself getting activated. And instead of just reacting the same way that your parents reacted to you, you pause. You think. You even try to breathe. You try to choose your words carefully, right? You try to be firm without being harsh, right? You try to teach without shaming, right? You try to hold a boundary while also holding a connection, right? And then later, instead of feeling proud of yourself for trying, we are replaying everything you did wrong. You think, I should have been calmer. I should have said it differently. I still sounded too irritated. I probably messed them up. And I want you to hear me. That right there. That is the burden of being a reflective parent. Because you are not just living in the moment. It sounds like you're actually reviewing the moment. You are measuring it. You are comparing it to who you want to be, dear parent. And look, sometimes, reflection becomes punishment. Come on now. We know we all do that sometimes. But we have to slow this down and better understand. Why can doing more still feel like failing? You see, when you become more aware, you also become more sensitive to your own mistakes. You see, that's what makes awareness powerful. But awareness can also be heavy, because now you notice things you may not have noticed before. You notice your tone. You notice your triggers. You notice your child's face. You notice the shift in the room. You notice when you sound like someone who hurt you from your past. You notice when you are not being the parent you imagine. And that awareness can either be wisdom or it could be a weapon out here. You see, wisdom says, I see what happened. Let me learn from this. But a weapon says, I see what happened. Let me attack myself for it. And a lot of parents are calling self-attack growth. Shit, but it's not. Growth needs honesty, folks. Growth needs accountability. But growth does not require self-destruction. Please hear me and hear me good. Okay? The truth of the matter is that you may be doing better than you think. But measuring yourself with a wounded ruler, though, let that shit sit. Because some of you are trying to determine whether you are a good parent. But what's wild is you're using standards shaped by pain, fear, guilt, trauma, impossible expectations. So even when you improve, dear parent, it doesn't even feel like improvement, does it? Even when you repair, it doesn't feel like enough, does it? Even when you do something differently than what was done to you growing up, shit, you barely let yourself acknowledge it. Why? Because part of you is still waiting to be told you did it right. But dear parent, you may never get that from the past. So you have to learn how to recognize growth in the damn present. Shit, it's hard. I'm still working on that. You're not alone. Look, when you are doing more, but you still feel like you're failing, it starts showing up in a few ways. First, it makes progress invisible. So you don't notice that you paused. You don't notice that you repaired faster. You don't notice that you chose a softer tone. You don't notice that you stayed present longer. Clients do this all the time. They keep using a measuring stick where they're missing all these important moments. Second, it turns your reflection into rumination. That's very common. You see, reflection helps you learn, but rumination makes you loop. That's the spiraling. Because reflection says, what can I understand from this moment? Rumination says, why am I like this? You see, reflection leads to growth, but rumination leads to shame. And some of you are not reflecting anymore. You are mentally replaying your parenting moments until you feel guilty enough to prove that you care, and that is disgusting. Don't do that. Third, it's going to make you resent parenting. You're going to start feeling tired around the ones who you love. And the one who has to break the cycles is on you. You feel like everything is just a burden. You have to apologize. You have to regulate. You have to do all the emotional labor and model that for everyone, even if you don't have the time and energy. And then you feel guilty and then you beat yourself up for that. You see, you can be committed to healing and still be tired of how much healing requires from you. That shit is real. Fourth, it creates grief. That is the layer that many parents do not expect. You see, when you become the kind of parent you needed, you sometimes grieve the parent you did not have. Because now you see what was possible, right? You see how much a calm response could have helped you growing up. You see how powerful that apology could have been for you. You see what emotional safety feels like. And a part of you wonders, why didn't I get this? That grief, it's real. And it matters. You don't have to hide from it. Let the tears flow. Because you're not failing because parenting still feels hard. You are feeling the weight of doing something new without having enough internal evidence that you are allowed to trust yourself. because you grew up without enough repair, without enough emotional safety, without enough space to be human. And then you're trying to do it differently, and that feels unfamiliar. And unfamiliar does not always feel like success, right? But sometimes unfamiliar feels wrong, even when it is healthier. So don't confuse unfamiliar with failure, because sometimes unfamiliar is the sound of a cycle breaking. Come on now. You see, the next time you think, I'm still failing, just pause. Ask yourself, what am I doing now that I would not have known how to do before? Did you pause faster? Did you repair sooner? Did you name your child's emotions for them? Did you apologize? Did you stop yourself from saying the thing you wanted to say? Did you walk away instead of escalating the moment? Did you come back instead of shutting down? Did you notice your trigger instead of becoming it? All those things count, dear parent. I need you to hear that, please. Those count. You see, growth is not only measured by the absence of mistakes. No. Sometimes growth is measured by, if we're going to be honest, shorter recovery time, quicker repairs, more awareness in the moment, less shame, more honesty with ourselves and our kids, more softness, more responsibility, more willingness to try again, right? You see, those are signs of change. Please do not dismiss them because they are not dramatic. Quiet growth is still growth, y'all. Never forget that. I'm going to give you something today that you have to hear. Permission. Permission to honor your effort. Don't worship it. Don't use it as an excuse. Just honor it, dear parent. Because some of you are doing emotional work your nervous system never learned, okay? You are building skills in real time. You are parenting your child while reparenting parts of yourself. You are trying to offer emotional safety while still learning how to feel safe inside yourself, right? That's no small feat. That's sacred work. And no, you will not do it perfectly. But every time you pause, every time you repair quicker, every time you reflect without destroying yourself, every time you choose connection over control, dear parent, you are changing the emotional inheritance of your family. You see that? That shit matters. So, if you are doing more than you received and you still feel like you are failing, just take a breath, please. You may not even be failing. Shit, you may be tired. You may be grieving, y'all. You may be learning. You may be carrying a standard you would never modeled. You may be measuring your growth by perfection instead of direction. Because maybe the question is not, am I getting this all right? Maybe the question is, though, am I moving in a direction that brings more safety, honesty, repair, and connection into my own family? And if the answer is yes, dear parent, if the answer is yes, then God damn it, you are not failing. You building something new. Be proud of yourself. Own that shit. Because sooner or later, you're going to feel it. So if this message gives language to something you've been carrying for a while, I want you to be honest. You know the drill. Drop it in the comments. What is one thing you are doing differently as a parent than what you were experiencing growing up? Yo, like this video so another parent who feels like they are failing can find this message. Please subscribe to Dear Parent, because this is where we are going to keep having real, honest, open conversations. And turn on those notifications, y'all. That next message might help you recognize the growth you've been struggling to find in yourself. Come on now. Come on. Dear parent, you may not be failing. You may be building something your family has never seen before. And that is special. That gives you hope. That gives you promise. Don't sleep on it. Don't allow a bad moment to have you thinking elsewhere. Don't allow a bad week to make you feel like everything is going downhill and it's my fault. It's not. You're building. You're not failing. Say it with me. You're building. You're not failing. You see that right there? That is grace. That is self-compassion. That is self-love. And that is being a human being. Take care of yourself. I'll see you in the next message.